Incredible, three bikers revealed as unexpected protectors after thugs harassed young Cashier alone. The fluorescent lights flickered, bathing the grocery store in an eerie glow, as Lily wiped down the last of the counters. She had just turned off the radio, letting the silence settle over the aisles when the door swung open. A trio of men, hulking and covered in leather, swaggered in. Their laughter felt harsh against the hushed air, turning her heart to lead. Fear pooled in her stomach as they approached. She could feel their predatory glares digging into her, the way animals stalk their prey. But even in the midst of her growing terror, her thoughts drifted to her family tucked away in their small house on the edge of town, her younger brother chasing dreams she wasn't sure how to fulfill, and her mother, weary from the burdens life had thrown at them. She envisioned that better life, the one where they didn't have to count every penny at the grocery store. A high-pitched shout jolted her back to the moment, the thugs demanding something from her. Her breath hitched, the tension tightening across her shoulders like a vice. Would today be the day she couldn't protect her family? Just as her courage began to crumble, the rumble of engines echoed in the distance, growing louder. The unlikely sound of a motorcycle gang invaded her thoughts. The thugs paused, their confidence faltering. Three bikers burst into the store, leather jackets gleaming under the overhead lights, the very men the townsfolk often whispered about. Her heart raced. Could these supposed outcasts really step in as her saviors? Indeed, they were feared but respected, carrying stories of both turmoil and brotherhood, and now they were standing between her and the gang. What is going on here? One of the bikers barked, his gruff voice slicing through the tension like a knife. The thugs glanced at each other, uncertainty flickering in their eyes, as the bikers closed ranks around her, fierce protectors in their own right. The atmosphere buzzed with a strange electricity as the townsfolk began to trickle in, murmurs and gasps floating through the air. Would the community finally see those they had dismissed as outsiders in a new light, or would prejudice continue to cast its shadow? The bikers stood resolute, tensions thickening around them, and they carried the weight of the moment on their shoulders. "Get out," one of the bikers growled, and the thugs, once so sure of their dominance, retreated, mere shadows against the growing strength of unwavering resolve. The community watched, speechless, hovering on the edge of a realization that perhaps bravery did not always come from the expected places. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the bikers turned back to Lily, an unexpected bond began to weave between them. Her pulse slowed, her initial fear gradually replaced by awe. Was this the moment she had been waiting for, the catalyst for change? The two worlds once divided by distance and judgment were entwining right before her eyes. But as the weight of the evening settled, a question lingered in the air: would the town learn to embrace this newfound strength, or would they cling to old biases? The story was far from over. Hope shimmered in the shadows, and Lily could feel it in her bones. Would their shared humanity blossom into a new understanding that could heal old wounds? The night was just beginning, and the town was on the cusp of transformation. Lily's breath hitched as she met the gaze of the biker who had stepped forward, his dark eyes radiating strength and determination. The tension in the air seemed to vibrate with every heartbeat. Behind her, the murmurs of the townspeople grew louder, an echo of disbelief. No one had expected these rugged men to act as guardians. "Are you okay?" one of the bikers asked her, his voice softer, a stark contrast to the earlier growl. She nodded, her throat suddenly dry. Gratefulness flooded her. This wasn't just a rescue, it felt like a lifeline tossed in rough waters. The other two bikers kept their eyes on the entrance, ensuring that the thugs truly had fled. They stood like sentinels, shoulders tightened and postures ready to spring into action if needed. Lily could sense their willingness to protect not just her, but the whole community. With the store filled with stunned faces, she knew something magical was brewing. What just happened? A voice broke through the crowd, a familiar one. Mrs. Francis, an elderly woman who often tipped generously when her groceries were bagged with care. They were trying to intimidate Lily, one of the bikers replied, his tone calm yet firm. But that's not how we roll in this town. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, leaving Lily's heart swelling with hope. Maybe they were ready to see these bikers as more than just troublemakers. Maybe tonight could change everything. As the bikers stepped back, giving Lily space, another man from the crowd approached her. It was Mark, the owner of the hardware store, who had never quite hidden his disdain for anyone with a motorcycle and tattoos. "You okay, Lily?" he asked, his expression suddenly concerned. The question was unexpected from a man who had always viewed her and her struggles with a dismissive glance. "Yeah. I'm okay," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. Then, without warning, the bikers pulled together, exchanging sharp nods and murmurs. One of them, a large man with a prominent tattoo of a phoenix on his arm, stepped forward again. "Listen up, everyone. We didn't do this for gratitude. We did it because we're part of this community too, whether you like it or not." A ripple of surprise spread through the crowd. Conversation started to bubble up, uncertainty giving way to intrigue. Would they truly listen? Could this be the beginning of something better? Lily glanced at the bikers, their confidence sparking something deep within her. She wanted to speak, to share her gratitude and her dreams for this town. But just as she opened her mouth, the front door swung wide again. Lily's heart sank as she turned to the entrance. The air turned sticky with apprehension, and she held her breath. This time, it was not the thugs, not at all. A handful of men and women identified by their leather colors strode in from another motorcycle gang. Their posture was rigid, and they wore expressions that would put any predator to shame. "Looks like it's time for round two," the crowd started to murmur, panic edging into their voices. Lily felt a weight drop into her stomach. Would the bikers stand strong again? Would the town be ready for another clash? As the second group took their stance, questions echoed in Lily's mind. Would her newfound hope survive this looming shadow? Would the bikers continue to protect her, or had she set in motion something that could spiral out of control? The night was teetering on the brink of chaos, and all Lily could do was hope for strength to rise from fear. The doors slammed shut behind the new arrivals, cutting off the breath of those inside the store. The tension thickened like a fog, wrapping around everyone's shoulders, threading fear into the fabric of their clothes. Lily's heart pounded, a drum beat urging her to stay calm, to believe in the bikers around her. The first of the new gang stepped forward, a wiry figure with a sneer that could chill anyone to the bone. "Looks like you boys are getting cozy," he taunted, his voice sharp and laced with mockery. It was clear he was sizing up the situation, looking for weakness. The bikers at Lily's side shifted, their body language screaming defiance. The large one with the phoenix tattoo remained calm but alert, a solid wall between Lily and the threat at the door. "We don't want trouble, but if you think you can come here and push people around, you're mistaken," he declared, his voice steady and deep. The crowd held their collective breath, their eyes darting between the bikers and the intruders. They were caught in a dangerous game, one that could go either way. Mark, once so dismissive, clenched his fists and stood behind Lily, seemingly ready to defend her. His presence, though unexpected, fortified her spirit. "What do you want?" The biker next to her asked, stepping confidently forward, brushing off the challenge with a flick of his hand. The room felt electric, as if something huge was about to happen. "Just came to see what's happening in our town," the wiry man sneered again. "Looks like a little gathering of lost souls." The air crackled, heavy with tension. Lily could sense the doubt creeping in among the townsfolk, long-held prejudices surfacing despite the earlier outpouring of support. Would they rally behind the bikers? Would they stand up for their community? "Leave her alone," an older man shouted from the back of the group. It startled everyone. He was a familiar face from the diner, a guy who always smiled and winked at her. The crowd echoed his sentiment, a wave of courage swelling as voices rose together. "Yeah. Get out of here!" shouted a woman, her usually gentle demeanor transformed into fierce loyalty. It was as if something had shifted, the bikers weren't alone anymore. They had awakened a community. The wiry man narrowed his eyes, no longer just an observer, now he felt threatened. "You think you can stand up to us?" He laughed, but the bravado was shaky, whispers of doubt creeping into his tone. "Looks like they've decided to back us up," the biker with the phoenix tattoo growled, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. "You've messed with the wrong people." With that, the bikers moved. They took one step closer, their presence unwavering as they drew together, breathing confidence into the masses. The townsfolk's anxiety transformed into resolve. In that moment, they were not just spectators. They were part of a united front, ready to fight for each other. Lily's chest tightened as adrenaline surged. She felt alive, the fear morphing into something powerful. It felt like the town might finally transform, shedding the old skins of distrust and division. "Lily!" A voice called out, breaking her reverie. It was Mrs. Francis, approaching with a determined look. "What do we do?" Lily blinked, her surprise merging into clarity. "We stand together," she replied, her voice stronger than before. "They need to know we're not afraid." And then, silence fell. As the bikers and the intruders faced off, it felt like the world had paused. Would they stand their ground? The answer hung unspoken in the tension of that crowded store, and Lily's heart raced with the possibility of change. The future was uncertain, but she knew her choice could steer the tide. Just then, a faint sound echoed from behind the intruders. A low rumble grew steadily louder, vibrating through the floor and into their chests. What was coming next? Lily felt the unmistakable thrill of hope and fear colliding within her. Would help arrive, or would they face their struggles alone? The moment was electrifying, and everything hung on the precipice of what was about to unfold. The rumble intensified, swallowing the silence like a hungry beast. Lily's heart raced, syncing with the pulsing roar that echoed from outside the store. With every reverberation, her hope spiked, and she wished with everything inside her that it was the sound of backup arriving. The wiry intruder exchanged worried glances with his friends, his bravado cracking. Confidence curdled like milk left too long in the sun. One of the bikers, the muscular one with the phoenix tattoo, leaned slightly forward, sensing the change in the air. "Looks like your little show might just have a surprise ending," he said, a teasing lilt to his voice. Before the gang could respond, the large glass doors of the store swung open again, and in rolled the rumble thundering motorcycles appeared, roaring into view like an army of iron warriors. The sight was enough to turn heads and raise spirits. Women gasped, and men stood a little straighter. For riders dismounted, their leathers glistening under the fluorescent lights. They were a mix of ages and styles, but they shared the same air of confidence that battered down fear like a wrecking ball. The newcomer in front, a tall figure with a tribal tattoo running down his arm, gave a knowing nod to the bikers already inside. "Thought we might find you here," he called out. Lily's breath caught as she pieced it together. This wasn't just any backup, this was the Cub Kings, a legendary motorcycle club known for protecting the town from various threats. They didn't just ride together, they fought together. The newcomers advanced, forming a second line of defense behind the original bikers, making it feel like the ground itself was shaking with united purpose. The wiry man's face drained of color. "You called in the Cub Kings," he stammered, disbelief washing over him as a wave of fear surged through his crew. "Looks like we've got a party going," the tribal tattoo guy retorted. "And you're not invited." The crowd held their breath, waiting for the first spark to ignite the tension smoldering in the air. No one wanted violence, yet every person was aware of the danger. This was more than a simple confrontation, it was a defining moment, a chance to reshape their community's story. Putting one foot in front of the other, the wiry leader puffed up, desperately clinging to false bravado. You think you can scare us off? We own this town. Used to, Lily spoke up, her voice slicing through the tension like a hot knife through butter. You've awakened something here that you can't take back. This community has had enough. Mark shifted beside her, emboldened by her words. You think this is your turf? We aren't backing down anymore. The wiry man's sneer faltered as he realized the unity growing among the townsfolk. Shouts of encouragement echoed around the room, voices shouting, "Get out, and you don't belong here." The tide of community spirit surged forward, and Lily's heart brimmed with pride. Yet in that cacophony of support, underneath it all, a fragile thread of fear still lingered. Would their bravery be enough? Or would this standoff explode into chaos they couldn't control? The wiry man waved his hands as if trying to dismiss the escalating situation. You have no idea who you're messing with. He spat, but deep down, it was clear he was beginning to reconsider the wisdom of continuing this fight. With the Cub Kings behind them, the bikers stepped forward, imposing yet calm. They had become guardians of this moment, and together, they stood stronger than any single fear could break. The air swirled with a sudden, aching weight, as if the world had paused again, holding its breath for what would happen next. Would the intruders finally retreat? Or was this just the beginning of a deeper conflict? Lily felt it a mixture of hope, fear, and something altogether new, the power of unity, awakened and ready to fight tooth and nail for what mattered. Would they manage to reclaim not just the store but their town? As her heart beat quickly in her chest, a thought flickered in her mind. This was a moment that could reshape everything. It was time for someone to step forward and make the first move towards a hopeful new beginning. Would she be brave enough to take that step? The tension in the store hung like a thick fog, wrapping around everyone as the bikers and the thugs faced off. Lily could sense the weight of all those eyes on her, the right mix of fear and anticipation pooling in her chest. She fought to breathe steadily, to silence the doubts creeping into her mind. This was her moment, but what if she failed? The wiry leader took a step forward, less confident now, desperation creeping into his eyes. You really think this is going to end well for you? He sneered, though the tremor in his voice betrayed his fear. One of the Cub Kings, a rugged woman with fierce blue streaks in her hair, stepped beside Lily, a protective presence that radiated strength. You need to leave. You're not welcome here anymore, she declared, her tone unwavering. Lily's heart swelled. She wished she could channel the same courage this woman displayed. It was a touch of inspiration, a reminder that they were not alone. I'm tired of being afraid, Lily chimed in, her voice steadier than before. All of us are. She could see the crowd rallying around her words, faces lifting with renewed resolve. We've lived in your shadow long enough. This is our town. The encouragement enveloped her like a warm blanket. A slight grin tugged at the corners of the tattooed biker's lips. See? Even the cashier is standing taller than you now. You can't own this place if the people don't let you. The wiry man recoiled, his bravado waning under the weight of shared purpose. The other thugs shifted behind him, as if rooted in uncertainty. Back off, one of the bikers growled, muscles rippling underneath his leather jacket. Leave now, or you'll find out what happens when you mess with the kings. The crowd cheered, a loud wave of defiance washing over the intruders. Lily's heart raced, carried by the moment. Each voice echoed her unspoken wish for change. But just then, chaos erupted. A thud against the glass door caused everyone to flinch. A handful of additional bikers burst through, their chains and leather slapping against their bodies like a symphony of rebellion. The air pulsed with an electric thrill as they charged in, ready to join the fight. Seeing the reinforcements, the wiry leader's complexion paled, his grip faltering on the baton he'd been brandishing. We don't want any trouble. He called out, panic creeping into his voice like a chilling breeze. Lily's breath hitched, this was it. This was her chance. She felt the energy, the power of the community surging through her veins. She stepped forward, determined, her heart thumping in her chest like a battle drum. If you wanted to belong, you should have fought for this community. Now it's too late. The wiry man exchanged fleeting glances with his friends, debating an exit. But it was a single resolve that sparked in Lily's light. Would they flee? Would they finally see the strength of what it meant to stand together? As the tension perched on a knife's edge, Lily realized she was no longer alone in this fight. It wasn't just about the store anymore, it was about reclaiming everything they had given away out of fear. It was a fight for their future. Just as the wiry man took a step back, his mouth opening wide to shout an order, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance, cresting over the growing murmurs in the crowd. The cavalry was finally coming. Would it arrive in time to shift the balance? Now, everything hinged on what the intruders would choose. Would they back down, or was the real battle just beginning? The sirens grew louder, an unmistakable call to action echoing through the store and bouncing off the walls. Lily could feel the vibrations in her bones, a mingling of hope and tension flaring within her. The energy had shifted. The bikers seemed more like guardians now, and the thugs less formidable, almost desperate. The wiry leader stumbled backwards, taking a collective step among his gang. The once confident sneer faded, replaced by a look of sheer panic. "We're not looking for trouble," he stammered, glancing nervously toward the door, the urgency of the sirens now almost drowning out the chatter of the crowd. "Aren't you?" one of the bikers challenged, stepping forward. His tattoos glistened under the bright fluorescent lights, each one a statement, a story. "You came here to intimidate, to take what isn't yours." Lily felt emboldened by the rawness of his voice, the way his words sliced through the tension. "You've terrorized this community for too long," she barked, surprising herself with the conviction in her tone. "You think we'd just let you take it? Think again." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Not just a few supportive whispers, but a chorus of voices stepping out of shadows and uniting a harmonious defiance. The wiry leader shot a swift glance at his crew. His panic flickered like old neon. "Let us get out of here." He turned, already taking a step toward the door. But before he could retreat fully, a biker blocked his path. "Not so fast," she said, her voice steady like an unyielding mountain. "This is your final warning. Get lost, and don't come back. You want respect? You earn just the opposite." And just like that, tension intensified. The thugs huddled as if hatching a last-ditch plan, their eyes darting. Sweat beaded on their brows, encountering the heat of a community deciding they'd had enough. They were slowly being pushed into a corner. Another biker, a tall man with a braided beard, stepped forward, fists clenched. "You think you can act like kings here, but it's time you realize we're the ones who've taken this place back." Within that charged moment, something beautiful happened. A ripple of laughter broke the tension. One of the older customers stepped forward, pointing at the intruders. "Should we tried knitting instead, boys?" The crowd erupted into laughter, a balm over the fear that had festered for too long. That unexpected laughter shattered the weight of intimidation, and Lily felt the palpable relief wash over her like sunlight breaking through a stormy sky. Even in tough times, they found humor. Even amidst chaos, they found strength. With their bravado cracking, the thugs exchanged uneasy glances, their foundation of false bravado crumbling. "Let us just go," the wiry leader finally muttered, shoulders sagging as he made eye contact with each of his companions, who looked just as defeated. Yet, before they could make a run for it, one of the older women from the crowd stepped up. "You think you can just walk away? Not without leaving something behind." Her words echoed, holding weight. "What's left?" The wiry man scoffed, but he was clearly unnerved. Lily stepped closer, her heart pounding like thunder in her ears. "Start by acknowledging the harm you've done. Leave your fear behind. Leave this town to us." The intruders hesitated, the reality of their choices pressing heavy. Would they dig deeper into the deception of their old ways, or would they confront the truth and the consequences they brought upon themselves? As the sirens drew ever nearer, the crowd held its breath, eyes locked on the intruders, waiting for the decision that could alter everything. Lily wished for the strength to believe in a peaceful resolution. But as the moment stretched, she knew deep down it was a turning point, an invitation to either redemption or a fight unlike anything they had faced before. What choice would they make? Would they finally walk away, or was there something darker still lurking within them? The wiry leader's eyes flickered, a spark of defiance still dancing behind his fading bravado. He turned to his crew, a quick huddle of whispered arguments. The crowd's shuffling feet and hushed murmurs filled the air, a palpable tension wrapping around them like a tight band. Each second stretched, a fragile thread caught between fear and courage. Maybe we don't have to leave empty-handed, the wiry leader suggested, weighing the option like a ripe fruit. His companions seemed torn, some nodding nervously and others leaning back against the cool, hard reality of the shelves. Lily felt a chill creeping down her spine. What does that mean? She demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. The leader straightened, trying to regain a shred of his composure. You think you can stand here and act like you own this place? He shot back, anger mixing with desperation. You don't know who you're messing with. This is our territory. The biker who had first stepped forward tightened his grip on the handlebars of his bike, the word family etched in bold ink down his forearm. Not if you don't want any trouble, he replied, eyes piercing. You had your chance. Now you're outnumbered. A small voice rose from the back of the crowd, an elderly man wearing a weathered cap and thick glasses. No one owns this place. We're all just trying to live our lives. You forget, fear can only last so long. And suddenly, the tide shifted once more. The banners of defiance breathed in the air, growing ever taller as people began to step forward, some with trembling hands, others with fire flickering in their eyes. Move along, a mother with a toddler strapped to her chest declared, surprising even herself. We're done being scared. The wiry leader glanced at the backs of his companions and saw the uncertainty in their eyes. The laughter from moments earlier still hung in the air, a weightier reminder that they were not alone. He scoffed, but it lacked bite now. You think you all can keep this up? I know we can, Lily said, her heart racing with a blend of hope and fear. She glimpsed the applause of support growing around her, felt the stir of new energy, and then something inside her shifted. She stepped closer, nerves igniting in her chest. We're stronger together than you ever were apart. We're done hiding. The tension hung thickly, like a veil, and Lily couldn't look away. The intruders shifted, the weight of the crowd pressing on them from all sides. The energy crackled, and for a split moment, she could almost taste victory. But the wiry leader's eyes suddenly glimmered with something darker, more sinister. You think this is over? He spat, the mask of calm slipping. You've thrown a pebble into a pond. Just wait until the waves come crashing back. The bikers moved forward, sensing the shift, hearts pounded with determination. Then we'll be ready, one called out, taking a position as a barrier. As the sirens approached, heralding the arrival of backup that Lily never knew how to hope for, one of the bikers shouted, "Who here stands with us?" A wave of hands shot up, reaching for something new, something powerful. Crowds rushed forward, stepping into the light, hearts now interwoven with purpose. Lily felt the surge of unity propel her. But then, unexpectedly, the wiry leader laughed, a dark, hollow sound that echoed through the store, unsettling and oddly contagious. You think this is a victory? You've stirred up a hornet's nest, and the stings are just beginning. With those words hanging heavy in the air, Lily's stomach dropped. The moment was fragile, involved in a delicate dance with fate. What lay ahead felt uncertain all over again. Would they find a true victory, or had they just stepped into a more dangerous game? Would the sirens shelter them or push them toward a reckoning? Lily could only grip her resolve tightly and brace for what would come next, as the shadows of confrontation loomed larger than ever. The air crackled with tension as the sirens drew closer, their wailing slicing through the murmurs of the crowd. Lily's heart raced, uncertainty mingling with a fierce inkling of hope. She watched as the wiry leader's bravado wavered. His companions exchanged glances, caught off guard by the sudden swell of solidarity among the townspeople. "Can't you see?" He spat, desperation seeping into his voice. "You think this is just about you? You don't know what you're inviting." His threat hung in the air, a heavy cloud looming over the moment. But Lily saw something shift within the crowd. People were standing taller, the flicker of fear giving way to a resolve that felt infectious. They were ready to fight back, no more hiding in the shadows. "We're not afraid of you," a burly man at the front shouted, fists clenched. "You came here to bully us, but look around, this is our home." The crowd began to chant, their voices rising in unison, echoing off the walls. "Not afraid. Not afraid." Each repeated phrase grew louder, igniting a fire deep within them all. As the chant swelled, the wiry leader's face twisted in anger. "This isn't over," he barked, gesturing to his crew. "You'll regret this." From behind the lines of bikers, Roger, the older man in the cap, stepped forward. "And what will you do about it? Bully us until we have nothing left?" His voice quivered slightly with age, but it was steady, filled with conviction. The bikers shifted, their presence solidifying like an iron wall. The first biker stepped out further, tattooed arms crossed, and yelled, "Anyone who thinks they can take down our family will have to go through us first." There was a collective gasping sound among the onlookers. The biker's words ignited a brighter flame of courage. Lily's pulse surged as she stepped next to him. "You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us." Just then, the first police car screeched to a halt outside. Flashing lights painted the scene in alternating blues and reds, creating a stark contrast with the grim uncertainties they faced moments before. The police officers climbed out, eyes darting towards the growing crowd. Everyone stepped back. An officer shouted, raising her hand high as she approached the scene. Lily's heart sank. Would they see this as a riot? Would they unleash more chaos into the already tense atmosphere? As the officer surveyed the faces around her, however, her expression softened. "What is going on here?" she asked, noting the lines of defiance across the faces looking back at her. Lily opened her mouth to respond, but then felt a gentle nudge from the biker beside her. "Let us tell you," he urged, his voice low yet firm. "We're not here to cause trouble. We're here to protect each other." Just as the officer was about to speak again, the wiry leader launched one last threatening glance at the crowd. "This isn't over. We'll be back." His crew backed away, retreating into the shadows, unsure if they would, indeed, return. As they disappeared, an uneasy silence fell, but it was quickly replaced by murmurs of disbelief and excitement from the crowd. They had stood together and won, at least for now. Lily felt a rush of adrenaline, but doubt lingered. Was this victory real, or just a fleeting moment of courage? The police officer stepped forward, her gaze sweeping the crowd. "I see a lot of bravery here. But we need to ensure this doesn't escalate. Can anyone tell me what happened?" As people began to recount the story, the sense of unity that enveloped the group shifted, brewing into something greater. But just as hope blossomed, Lily noticed a flicker of movement near the exit. A dark figure lingered at the edge of the crowd, watching closely. Was it one of the wiry leader's crew? Lily's heart dropped. What if they weren't gone for good? What if their message had only just begun? The tension returned, thickening around them like fog. As she turned to warn the others, a sharp sound pierced through the air, and Lily's breath caught in her throat. What lay ahead felt even more uncertain now, and she wondered, would they ever truly be safe? The crowd was still buzzing with excitement and confusion, but for Lily, the moment felt suspended in time. The flicker of movement intensified, stealing her focus. Her gaze darted to the dark figure lurking just beyond the light of the flashing police cars. Tension pooled deep in her stomach, a mix of fear and determination. "Look!" she called out, pointing toward the mysterious figure. Heads turned, and the energy in the air shifted dramatically. Whispers rippled through the crowd, faces turning from excited to wary. The figure stepped forward, revealing a tall, stocky man wearing a black leather jacket and a helmet that obscured his features. He moved deliberately, eyes locked on Lily. Suddenly, the names of her tormentors echoed in her mind. Were they back? Was this a vendetta? "Hey!" a voice shouted from the crowd. It was Roger again, stepping forward defiantly, pushing his neck out like he was ready to protect everyone. "What do you want? We have enough problems without you here." The man in the leather stopped. Despite the helmet, there was something vulnerable in his body language, as if he had come to express a message of peace. "I'm not here to fight," he said, voice muffled yet clear. "I saw what happened." He gestured toward the retreating bikers. "I saw how they treated you." Lily's heart raced. What did he mean? "Those guys don't care about you," he continued, a hint of urgency in his tone. "They thrive on fear. What you did today, it was brave. But it won't last unless you stay united." Slow exchanges spread across the faces in the crowd. Doubt painted some, while others shared hesitant glances. "Why should we trust you?" the burly man asked, marching forward to stand beside Roger. The biker let out a ragged breath. "Because I've been where you are. I've seen what happens when people let intimidation take root. It eats away at everything. But together, you can stand stronger." Behind him, the police officer leaned in, intrigued. "And who are you?" she asked, narrowing her eyes as if searching for the truth beneath the leather. The man pulled off his helmet, revealing a scruffy face tangled with patches of unshaven skin. "My name's Jake. I ride with a crew that values community. You need allies, not enemies." He stepped forward, letting his authenticity rest in the palm of their hesitation. Lily's heart thudded in her chest. Something about Jake resonated with her, but would they really accept help? As if sensing her inner turmoil, Jake continued, "You showed courage today. Don't let it fade. Those who seek to oppress you will always come back. You can't fight this alone." Roger and the others exchanged glances. The initial skepticism was beginning to crack, the idea of having someone on their side started igniting sparks of hope. "All right, Jake," Roger said slowly, "if you're serious, show us you mean it." Just then, the sound of bikes thundered in the distance, a powerful roar that pulsated through the crowd. More bikers arrived, at least 6 of them, all clad in similar leather attire, confidence radiating from their stances. "What is happening?" one of them bellowed, eyes scanning the anxious crowd. "Things are about to get intense if we can't figure this out," Jake replied, clearly trying to establish unity. Yet another figure pushed through the arriving bikers, a woman, her hair wild and eyes fierce, demanding attention. "Join us," she declared boldly. "We'll show them what real community looks like." Lily felt a shiver run through her. They had a chance to turn the tide, but it wouldn't come without risks. Would the town band together with these outsiders? Would they really trust them after everything? As uncertainty brewed in her chest, one question gripped her mind: could they dissolve fear into courage again, and what would it cost to stand with them? Jake locked eyes with her, sensing the weight of her thoughts. "You need to lead this, Lily," he urged, his voice low but firm. "If you're ready to fight, we'll be right there beside you." The crowd shifted, anticipation and fear blending into a new resolve. Was she ready? The bike's engines roared again, filling the air with a promise of what was to come. The night felt alive with energy, and one truth stood out: the real battle was just beginning. Where would this lead them? What choices lay ahead? The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as Lily looked into Jake's eyes. She felt the weight of his words pressing against her chest, the responsibility to lead this transformation brewing within her. This was no longer just about her safety, it was about the fate of the whole community. "Are we ready to fight?" she finally asked, her voice stronger than before. The crowd murmured, a soft but steady echo, a mix of astonishment and growing belief resonating in the air around her. The bikers behind Jake squared their shoulders, ready to stand beside her, and one after another, the townsfolk nodded, firming up their resolve. Together, Lily declared, feeling a fierce energy swelling within her like a blazing fire. The fear that had once gripped her heart started to dissolve, replaced by the warmth of solidarity. The sound of engines revving filled the night air, creating a powerful rhythm that synced with the pounding of her heart. "Let's show them what we're made of," she shouted, and the crowd erupted into cheers, every voice trembling with newfound strength. It was more than a chant, it was a declaration. The wiry leader and his crew were still lingering on the edges, uncertain but close enough to feel the intensity of the moment. "Let us go," Jake urged, stepping forward with a fierce glint in his eyes. "This is your chance to reclaim your town." With renewed determination, the community surged toward the door like a tidal wave, united, strong. As they spilled into the streets, Lily felt the ground shake beneath her feet, a powerful reminder that change was indeed coming. Outside, the air felt electric. The bikers formed a protective line, their leather shining under the flickering streetlights. It was a sight to behold, a mix of solidarity and defiance that rippled through every onlooker. "Look at them," Lily whispered, glancing from her new allies to her friends and family who stood behind her. Hope blossomed in her chest as their anxious faces transformed into a tapestry of strength and perseverance. The wiry leader stepped forward, disbelief etched on his features. "This isn't over." He spat, scrambling for control as he shifted nervously, his crew appearing to waver. Lily took a deep breath, her voice rising above the tension. "No, it's not. But we will end this cycle of fear. You think you can intimidate us? You've underestimated this community." She stepped forward, her heart pounding with determination. Mark and Mrs. Francis joined her, their eyes fierce with pride. "You're right, Lily," Mark called out, raising his fists high. "This is our town, and we will defend it." The crowd roared back in agreement, a wave that swept through the streets, igniting the night with fervor. The wiry leader's confidence crumbled, and the thugs exchanged scared glances, realizing the tide had indeed turned against them. "Your threats mean nothing now," one biker growled, stepping toward the ribbing group, the weight of his presence compelling. "You're outnumbered and outmatched. Leave while you can." The wiry leader's bravado evaporated, and in one jarring motion, he stepped back. "We'll be back," he murmured, the devil-may-care attitude fading, as he realized the community was not backing down. With quick glances exchanged, the group turned on their heels and retreated into the shadows, disappearing into the night. Cheers erupted among the townsfolk, exhilaration sweeping through like wildfire. Lily's heart swelled, and tears of joy threatened to spill over as faces lit up with relief and triumph. "We did it!" she shouted, feeling the reality of victory pulse through her veins. Together. Laughter and cheers filled the air, a sweet symphony of hope and unity that danced around them like a protective aura. They turned toward one another, exchanging hugs, smiles, and tears, letting the warmth of connection infuse the evening. Jake stepped forward, offering a nod of respect. "You have something special," he said, looking around at those gathered, pride evident in his voice. "Don't let it die. Stand together." Lily beamed, feeling the power of the moment enveloping her. "We will," she promised, her heartbeat sinking with the celebration around her. "This is just the beginning." And as they stood there together, illuminated by the streetlights and the spirit of camaraderie, one truth rang clear: they had transformed from a scattered group into a family united by the bonds of courage, ready to defend their home, their hearts pounding in shared harmony. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden hue across the horizon, they knew the battle for unity wasn't over. But they also understood something profound: when people come together anything is possible. Now was the moment to rise to stand together and spread a ripple of that strength to others. If you felt the shift in the air as much as Lily and the townsfolk did, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support for these powerful stories. Leave a like right now to fuel the algorithm. Every click counts in building this community. Comment your reactions, share your feelings about this incredible transformation and how you stand united in your own life. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see the strength of unity. This is the moment to spread hope.